You've probably heard about OpenAI's latest release, Codex, their AI agent programmer. So I've been lucky enough to be using this for a couple of weeks now since the launch, and wanted to demo how I'm using it and then my thoughts on how it's going to end up impacting programmers in the future. So first, I'm going to show you what Codex can actually do. We'll do a walkthrough of how you use it, how you set up an environment with a GitHub repo, and then how you make changes to your repository. And then from there, we'll kind of test it out a little bit. I'll show you some of the limitations that I found, but also what it's really good at from there. And then finally, I'm going to give you my honest verdict on what it changes for software engineers. So here's Codex if you're not familiar. I'm going to go ahead and just open this up. So it's their cloud-based software engineering agent that can help you work on many tasks in parallel. So you've probably seen similar things. I know there's a few other options. OpenAI just released theirs that is like this. So let's go ahead and here. What you'll see is we have environments. So I have a few set up here. We're going to be in my Team Matrix app for now. So if I go ahead and open this up, you'll see you just configure it to connect to a repository within GitHub. And you can do some stuff. You can set up script if there are certain requirements you have to install, that sort of thing. I don't need any of that right now, so I'm just going to go back. Here's the main page. It looks kind of like ChatGPT. Just here's your prompt. So down here, go ahead and select what repository or environment you want to work on. And then we'll prompt it from here. So before I do that, I'm going to go back and show you what we want to do. So here is my code base. First, if I go into dbeaver, so here's a Postgres database. What you'll see here, I have select star from team task. So we basically have, this is an application that is going to be publishing certain skills and products that are required for a team. So a project manager would be submitting them. What you'll see here, though, when I run this, there's nothing in this database. Now, if I go back to my terminal, I will, let's cd to app and then npm run dev. So here's our Next.js application. I'll open this up and show you what we have. So here's our application. This is very much POC. It's something we've been kind of developing as a side project. So if I go in here, select teams, you'll see there's a list of different teams that we have. I'm just going to select Cloud Ops. Go ahead and hit next, and then we'll see team members. Go ahead and search myself in here, and I'll add that. And then what you'll see, there's a list of different skills. So basically within a team, we'll say Active Directory, and then how important is that to your team? So we'll select that, go ahead and hit next, and then go down to products. So let's go through here. Let's do Ansible automation platform. And then let's do product development and go ahead and hit next. And then we'll say we use it frequently. So that's a quick kind of survey. Obviously, there'd be a lot more if you're doing it for a full team and a full project. But what you'll see ready to submit. So here's everything we just submitted. And now when I hit submit, we want this to save into that initial database that we showed. So I will go ahead and hit submit here. And you'll see over here, form submitted successfully. And here's all the information that we put in. Here's the array of products. So everything looks good. But now if I go back, so let's see form successfully submitted or submitted successfully. Let's search for that. And in here, you'll see our page.tsx, and here's that submission. And so what do we do? Here's our form data, and yeah, there's nothing in here. So we basically populate the form data, and then we await a new promise that is literally just a timeout because this was mocking it. And then we continue on and say that it's submitted. So I want ChatGPT, or Codex rather, to fill this in for me and submit it to the proper tables. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to Codex now. And I'm going to remember, I don't know if I'll need to tell it, but I'd rather be more specific than not. So app source app page.tsx. And we'll say that it is inside of the handle submit function. Okay, so I just wrote out my prompt here. So what I said, I need you to fill in my handle submit function. It exists inside of app source app page.tsx with a placeholder that's just a timeout to mock an API call. All of this data should be submitted to my SQL tables through the API as expected by the schema. You can find our schema of the relevant tables inside of app scripts initdb.py. So we'll go through here. Here is the initdb.py file. So going through here, what you'll see, this is just how we create our tables. We did have an Excel file with some of our initial data. So I created a Python file, and this is where all the tables are created. So I could just copy all of this into there, or I could not tell it at all and let it find it. But I really like giving it as much, being as specific as I can but I'm also being a little bit lazy in a sense here just to see if it will go through and read these and still get it right rather than me explicitly telling all of it. So really trying to see like what's the best use case here. I have been testing this a lot because some of the stuff you'll see, it's like it's kind of overkill. Like if you need to change a few lines, going through this whole process of asking it and waiting for it to spin up and then giving a pull request, all of that is kind of like time consuming, whereas you could just ask Copilot or do it yourself. But I find for things that are multi-file, that's where it's really good. So now we will go back and I did hit run while we were waiting. So here is the result. So you see up here, here's the prompt. It worked for 3.5 minutes and then it does always try to do some kind of testing. So you'll see it try to do a linter. I don't have anything set up here, so that failed. But we won't worry about that. And you'll see next command not found. So we could actually install that with that environment, like I said, but I'm not too worried about it here. So here's our two files. We have, looks like it edited the assessments file, or added a new rather, and then it updated the page.tsx file. So here's a new API entirely, and it looks like here's our assessment request body. That looks just like our form submission, so that's good. And then let's scroll down here to our app or our page rather. And yeah, so it looks like just replace that simulated API call with the submit form. And is that an import? Where is that? Not sure if that's pulling. Oh, it's already importing API. So submit form is probably in there already. And then that would call this. We'll go ahead and look in there. So what we can do from here, assuming this looks good, and obviously I didn't vet this that hard because this isn't like a production app, but assuming you like it, you go ahead and press create pull request, and I'm just going to press it there. Takes a second, and then you can view it, and you'll see here, gives you this nice menu, creating pull request. Takes a few seconds, and there we go. So here's the branch. It's always codex / and then it gives you some kind of summary of what it's doing, so it's great that it actually sticks with that standard. And then we can see here summary. So just like a normal pull request from any user, and I'm just the approver in this case. So we can see our files changed here. Again, same thing that we just viewed, so we won't go through that right now. Let's go ahead and merge this request, confirm merge. And again, probably should have some kind of testing here if you're doing in a production environment, but luckily we are not. So now that that's merged, let's go down here and do git pull. And then I will run it again. And there we go. So our server is starting. Let's go ahead and create a new assessment. And we will just do the same exact thing here. I don't remember what I picked last time, but we'll ignore that. We'll pick some different ones, but that shouldn't matter. I know I picked Active Directory. Let's set that 3 and then go, I think it was Ansible. So yeah, there's all of our Ansible. We'll do event driven this time. And we'll do admin and then go over to frequently. And let's submit. Okay, so there's our console log again, so that's good. But again, that doesn't tell us that it worked. Let's see, it doesn't log anything from here. Let's go over to our dbeaver now and go ahead and select. So here's our teams. Let's go over to team task. And that is still empty. And what if we do our team skill? Still empty. Okay, just for this example, I'm going to go ahead and set a 1 here just so that we can wrap up the use case. You guys don't care to see this, I'm assuming. But I will submit that, and there we go. Submitted successfully. And let's go back to dbeaver. And let's go ahead and select team person. And we can see team ID, person ID. So person ID is number 1. Let's go over here. Let's go ahead and select from team task. And there we go. There's our task. So we can see our team ID, our product ID, interaction ID. So this somewhat got the job done. It's funny. I think a lot of people that are not in the tech industry are running around saying that software developers are going to be replaced, but then software developers aren't really thinking that. Look, Codex is really good. It's a huge improvement, especially like front end development like this. It is, I mean, this is the API, but doing the front end for this application, it has come in very handy just because it's tedious, but it's not hard work. Like it's not like thought intensive. It's more so just writing and typing on the keyboard. So I would say Codex is a really good benefit for developers, but it's not going to be replacing you. As you saw, I mean, I still have to go back and fix that problem. Right now, I have hard coded everyone is going to be ID number one. So I need to figure out what it was thinking. I'm going to try and ask it and see if it can fix its own error. But from what I've seen, getting that into the logic, it's not that great. This is where there's these LLMs right now. Um, Briefly, I'm not an expert on this, but if you don't know how they work, they're basically able to predict what's the highest probability of the next n number of words. So when it's coding, it's just saying what's the highest probability of all these things going together. It's not like it knows Python. It just knows that when they see Python, all of these words usually fit together in this order. So the next iteration of AI is all of these agents and the kind of you already see with their like deep research where they're building out these things that can actually think now and put that reasoning along with the development, but it's not really there right now. So sure, it might end up replacing some low-level developers or making and augmenting the really good developers. So like if you can't debug, you're not going to be able to be a software developer at a high degree. So it's not like it's going to replace everyone, at least right now. But yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be a need for developers that truly understand the fundamentals and what is happening down, like underneath the hood, down to the metal up in some situations. So just continue to learn the basics and use things like this for fun. Definitely makes you faster if you know what you're doing, but you're just going to be spending more of your time debugging and less of your time writing that kind of monotonous code that you usually do.